We got a loaded show for you right here on the Packers Report. We're going to start off by giving you a little bit of an update on where Green Bay sits with their cap space. We'll go over some of the new contracts, their cap hits, all that jazz, and then we're going to round it out with the top free agents left and ask the question, could Green Bay be making a move soon? Before that, though, today is our 100th episode of the Packers Report. First off, thank you everybody who has watched, subscribed, liked, commented, done all that stuff. We really do appreciate it. Love getting to give you guys daily content right here. And we're not stopping anytime soon. So the goal today for the 100th episode, can we get 100 subs? Help us celebrate it right now by hitting that sub button. So as of right now, the Green Bay Packers sit with $33.28 million. Of course, that number is going to fluctuate a lot from now to tomorrow to next week. It's ever-changing, but where they sit right now is $33.28 million. And we've seen it go up and down over these past couple of weeks, right? The more guys they've signed, the new restructures, the new contracts, all of that jazz. And the $33.28 million you see right now, that could be $40 million tomorrow, because I need to remind you guys that the Saints going into free agency were $32 million over the cap, meaning they were $32 million in debt, basically, if I were to speak in Dave Ramsey terms. Right now, they're sitting with $35 million in cap space, more than Green Bay. They've added $67 million in cap space over the last 2 weeks. So the $32 million you see right now for Green Bay, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that can change and add in an instant. Let's start with Nate Hobbs' contract with the base salary and his cap hits. So it starts off pretty low, like a lot of these do, and I think that's strategic because I think they could be setting up for something going into 2025. His cap hit this season is just under $6 million on a $1.2 million base. Then going into 2026, that goes to 13.05. 2027, that jumps to 14.05, and his base jumps up all the way to 9.1 million. And then 2028, slight increases in both, sitting at $14.7 million of cap hit and a $9.7 million base. The cap hit never gets that high for Nate Hobbs. I like to think if he's a very useful and a very good player, they're going to keep him around for the majority of his contract. A guy I don't necessarily feel that way with is Aaron Banks. His cap hit's very low in 2025, $9 million on a $1.5 million base, and then it jumps all the way up to $24.85 million of a cap hit on $7.7 million base. Slowly goes down in 2027 and then goes right back up, at least the base does, in 2028. But he's got 3 straight years of a cap hit higher than $20 million. And I'll be honest with you, just like I've been through the entirety of this signing, I don't love this contract. I never have. You can look back at every single video I've made on this channel since the Nate Hobbs signing, and you will not once find me ever say, this was a good deal, this is a good amount of money, this is a guy who should be getting $19 million a year. However, when you do look at the contract, the way it's structured, I'll give you guys a little bit of outlook. This is basically a 2-year deal with 2 team options stacked on the back end. But still, even when you have the out after 2 years, $47.4 million against the cap in 2 years is a lot, especially for a guy who had a fine contract year. Nothing great, nothing horrible, but just fine. $47 million, even if he is just fine, is far too much. Okay? A little bit of a positive note. Happy March Madness to you all. Hope you are locked in, sitting on the couch, have a beer in your hand, and enjoying this wonderful time of the year. Before we go any further, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, who do you have winning your bracket? I've got my Tennessee Volunteers. I can't help it. I love their path. Now, before your bracket is busted, let me know who you've got winning the whole thing. Alrighty, let's talk Mecole Hardman. His official contract details haven't come out yet at the time of this recording, although the signing is official. They tweeted this morning. I'm projecting his contract to be 1 year, $1.25 million. I don't think it's going to be more than two. I would be shocked if he's getting paid more than $2 million. And why, you ask? Well, he posted this in December, successful surgery, which is great. The surgery was a success, but it also shows you that he just had surgery in December. So I don't think they're necessarily going to be very quick to pay a guy who's just coming off of surgery and into the season much more than, $1.25, $1.5 million. He also has just struggled with injuries through the entirety of his last 4 or 5 years. Now, I think that has a lot to do with his size, the position he plays, and the way he plays that position, but still, he's going to be more of a return specialist like we've talked before. I don't think he's going to be used a ton as a wide receiver here and there for sure, but definitely more as a return specialist. That's going to be his role. And so $1.25 million makes sense to me. This is all they've done so far in free agency. That and the Mecole Hardman signing. The re-signing of Isaiah McDuffie, the re-signing of Brandon McManus, and then the Aaron Banks, the Nate Hobbs deal. So after all those things, and you're still sitting at $32 million in cap space, and you have structured those contracts where the cap hits in 2025 are not that much, I still think that Green Bay could be saving for something big. I still think that something big could be on the horizon for the Packers. And it might be a trade. Let's talk Trey Hendrickson, shall we? The number one trade target, in my opinion. He's a guy that could come in here in year one, just affect the entire trajectory of where your defense is going with where he comes off on the edge. Slick Rick Scoops tweeted this out on Monday, saying the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson have been making significant progress on an extension and on an agreement on a new deal that could come as early as next week. Also look for the Bengals to add Tevin Jenkins or Brandon Scherf in the coming days. So, Slick Rick right there confirms that Cincinnati and Trey Hendrickson are close to making their way on a deal. If you can remember a couple weeks ago, he was given permission to seek a trade. Things have changed. However, they also just signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to massive, massive contracts. $161 million a year for Jamar Chase. And a lot of money for T. Higgins. And so if this is a team that doesn't want to absolutely screw themselves and pay, I guess if you add Joe Burrow in there, Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Hendrickson, 4 players, like 50% of your cap space, I would honestly be surprised if Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals found a deal. So I think that Green Bay should at least go calling, see what they can offer him. I give up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. I would do it in a heartbeat. Speaking of first-round picks, this guy was a first overall pick. It's Travon Walker. Sleeper Jaguars tweeted this out, saying the Jaguars open offers for former number 1 pick Travon Walker. Jacksonville's been doing everything but keeping their own players in the building. Liam Cohen came in, their new general manager, who looks like he's 16 years old. They came in, they said, we're cleaning house. Travon Walker, I would not be surprised if he's next. They've made more surprising moves, in my opinion, over the last couple of weeks. I'd offer a first-round pick for Travon Walker. He's still incredibly young, coming off of back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. I think he fits this scheme perfectly. The size player he is, the type of game that he plays, I think he'd fit right into what Green Bay likes to do with Jeff Hafley. I got a lot more to talk about, but real quick, I got to point out the fact we're almost at 2.5 thousand subscribers. 253 away to be exact. To help us get there, to help us reach the goal of this week, you got to do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. It's free for you, doesn't cost you a dime, doesn't cost you a penny, doesn't sign you up for anything. You do it, you most likely forget about it, and bingo, bango, bongo, you got the best coverage right here on YouTube. Let's talk about free agency choices, shall we? Zadarius Smith, Matthew Judon. Those are the 2 guys on the edge that pique my interest the most. Now, I know Zadarius Smith probably isn't going to come back to Green Bay because of how sour his ending was with the Packers. But Matthew Judon is a guy I could see legitimately taking his talents to the Packers. Okay? He is coming off a fine season with Atlanta. He was all right. He's an older veteran. I still think he could be incredibly useful. We all know how big of a need edge rusher is on this defense. 2 cornerbacks I want to keep an eye on. Asante Samuel Jr., Kendall Fuller, okay? Asante Samuel's much younger than Kendall is. Asante's dealt with a little bit more injuries in his shortened career than Kendall has, and Kendall is coming off of a fine season with Miami. However, he's still 1 year removed from an all-pro year with the Washington Commanders. I think Kendall Fuller would slide in perfectly and be that Jair Alexander replacement when that time comes. I just pray that this team isn't done in free agency. They have $33 million in cap space. They have room to make moves happen. I just hope they're not done. I hope they're not tying their hands, and I hope they're not saying, you know what? This is going to be the team we're rolling into 2025 with. Because I think there are some people still out there, the four I just mentioned, and others on top of that could still be really useful for this squad come next season. Shout them out for me in the comment section down below before we get out of here. Name a player you want the Packers to sign in free agency. Is it any of the four guys I just mentioned? Is it someone totally new? Get creative and let me know your thoughts. As always, while you're down there, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Join us for the best coverage you'll find right here at the Packers Report.